Hello and welcome to my Age of Wonders Planetfall modding tutorial video. I'm Juzza, or Juz. I'm going to walk you through how to make a really basic mod in Age of Wonders Planetfall. So first off, open the launcher, scroll down from the top, open up our modding tools. From here you are going to want to make a new one. I'm going to call this Shell's test mod. Put in whatever here. This stuff isn't too important. The version and is just about your keeping track of it. I'm actually not sure if if you version it, if it'll somehow override, but the priority can override other mods, which means if you change like a base game file and your priority is higher than another mod, your mod will take preference. We'll select an image. This is vaguely important. It won't save and upload properly if it doesn't have an image. It's just an image from one of my other mods. But this all doesn't matter all that much. So I'll save that, and now there are two. I haven't really touched the level editor, so I don't know anything about that, but there are two important editors we're going to use. One is the resource editor and one is the content editor. So I'm just going to open up a pre-existing one. This is inside the game files in Steam. So Steam Apps, Common, Age of Wonders, Content. From Content you can also get to the DLCs, but I'm probably not going to touch them. But bear in mind, if you want to modify or take things from DLCs, that's the area you need to get it from. It takes a lot of getting used to know where everything is. A really important one, if you want to be fiddling with unit abilities, is unit properties. It has everything from the firearms, lasers, tech trees to the racial tech trees, etc. And they're not as well mimicked in the DLCs, but there's a lot less to go through, so it's a lot easier to find. Anyway, humans is Vanguard, species human. Once this opens, this has all of the, well, it has a lot of the unit details and a few other details to do with Vanguard, and I'm just going to be copying some Vanguard stuff. So I go to human units. This has a lot of data for like the human units. I should have done this first actually. It's just so this one is editing the base game .rpk file. Big collection of data, models, all sorts of things can be in these RPK files. This will be my one that actually makes some modifications. So before I do that, you can, I can edit this if I want to change the Vanguard Trooper. If I want to give him an extra armor, I can do that. I'm not going to. Delete that. Don't make copies of these and put them in your mod folder. That's going to cause you a lot of problems. Anyway, so you'll probably need to do a bit of jigging around in this area at some point too. This is where my mods are kept, in my documents, Paradox, Age of Wonders Planetfall mods, and then I've got a bunch of crap here, but this is this test mod that I've just made. And when I save this RPK, it's going to end up in packs here. So I'm going to do that. You want to set up some shortcuts and stuff like this. Like I haven't got enough. I should set up more. They make it handy for navigating around because you're often going between your own content, game content, copying some stuff, modifying some stuff, and then opening the game to test it. And you need to close this entire thing and like rezip it so that the game checks checks for the changes in data. And then if you want to change anything again, if one little thing didn't link properly, or if one thing didn't change, you've got to go in and change it and reopen the RPKs, and it can be a bit of a hassle. So yeah, these links on the side here are really, really helpful. Anyway, I want to save this here, and let me call it just a test. Something you'll want to keep track of is these features. So you might not have to worry about FX. I wouldn't worry about it too much if you're starting off, but settings and entities are important. Essentially, like different types of setting. There's different types of things that go in them. So settings won't go in entities. Entities won't go in settings. If you try and copy them, something that belongs in entities into settings, it'll crash it. So don't do that. Anyway, I usually set up a few different tabs here. So, and you want to make sure that they're named differently. If they're all named, if you make something called abilities, and then you make a mod that has abilities for every race in the game, that can cause ID conflicts, so don't do that. So make sure it's called something like Gel's abilities. There's no reason that these all need to be in different tabs. I just prefer to modulize the thing I'm working on. It makes it easier to... I know that I'm going to find my FMDs when I go to the FMD. I'll explain what FMDs are at some point. But I'll finish setting this up. All of these kind of things are split up in the RPKs of the main game. But if you ever look through my mods and everything I'm going to do in this tutorial, I try to keep it all just in the one RPK, just because it's easier for me to keep track of. I'm usually only adding like 1 or 2 units, you know, I'm not adding an entire race. So it works fine for me. Things don't get too big or complicated. Anyway, I'm going to now... You can copy stuff from the main RPKs just by opening... Oh, before we do that, you want to add... we want to add it as a resource. So I will do it the wrong way actually, just so you can see. So I'm going to copy, go to entities, and paste. And you can see this red stuff. This means it's looking to find like the Vanguard Trooper figure, for instance, and it's saying I can't find this. There's nothing linked. I believe this will work if you decide to just make some other changes. Like if I want to make this unit somehow and not have this linked, then I can load the game and it will find them, but it's a huge pain in the ass, and I can't go and, you know, change the figure to a syndicate unit or something now, because there's nothing there. There's nothing to choose from. So I'm going to delete that. Going to add a resource. Now, there can be problems with adding resources to the main game. I haven't had too much trouble with adding it to my mods, but if I decided to add the unit species RPK to my mod, and then I say, well, I want to add this to the base game, then it will get these redundancy errors, which are game breaking. So be really careful doing that. If I say make my unit here, my Vanguard Trooper 2, and I want to add him to, say, some unit list spawns, something like the starting unit spawns or the bandit spawns or something, or to be found in a explore site. I think the way to do that is to add your RPK to a standard one, wherever those lists are, add your unit, and then remove it as a resource. And it will appear in red and it'll say, I can't find this. But if it's loaded with your mod, which it will be because those kind of changes are part of this .apc ACP file, then it will say, I'm looking in this standard list, where's Vanguard Trooper 2? Oh, it is here. I believe that's how it works. I haven't gotten around to doing it myself because I'm a bit afraid of Triumph changing everything and me having to do it again because it's a bit of a pain in the ass. But anyway, so this has a figure attached as well. By adding this unit species RPK, it gives me tons and tons and tons of stuff that's been added. It's not just, well, it is mostly Vanguard stuff, but it does add more than you think. It usually does, because there's lots of things that are dependent on this when you look at the resources that it gathers from. Anyway, I'm going to go to figures because we're going to make our own little figure. Yeah, properties. So figures, human figures. Here we go. These are FMDs. The one that actually has any significance here is the engineer. So here are the figures, here are the FMDs. FMDs are like, I'll just show you so I can actually modify stuff in mine. They source stuff from a figure and then they add all sorts of things. So when there's an impact, for instance, it makes a sound. This doesn't actually make any kind of sound. But the thing this does, that when it's alive, it has these two items on it, which aren't named, but they're electrical effects on the, like his big winchy thing that he's got. So they're a bit of a pain to set up. It's a bit easier to set them up in the actual figure, or set them up in the figure and then use the same coordinates on that figure to set them up. But the advantage of using it in the FMD is you could make it so that they don't appear. You could give something like a really big visual effect when it's alive, and when it dies, you don't want that effect to be happening anymore. You don't want it to be consuming like resources, or it might look silly if the unit dies and continues to make that effect. So it's better to do it at the FMD. It's a little more fiddly, but it is better, and you should do it. Anyway, we're just going to grab a trooper, and here's a little trooper. So things that are super easy to, well, there's a few settings in here, like for instance he's using the FMD for the Vanguard. He's got some sounds linked to him. There's some on death things, and there's some scaling and stuff. What we want, the thing we're just going to change here is his gun. So this is looking at the human species. So this is going to have like everything in the human species, from guns to other like models. See, it's got the freaking the mech model there, which we obviously don't need. So you can search through this alphabetically, or you can just like skim through it like this. I'm just going to give him, this is the laser rifle. I'm not going to actually give him the laser rifle because I'm going to do something a little more complicated, because I want to highlight, because it's really important to get these the plugins working. If you want to make a new unit, you want it to be able to be compatible with the unit mods, and if you just copy shit around and you don't know what you're doing, you don't add it properly to the mod dynamic groups, then it's not going to work and it's going to be a shit mod. So we're going to just quickly find something. We'll just use the kinetic shotgun, even though there already is a shotgun. And so there's other attach points. Some of these, I know at least one of these shoulder ones is used for the like rocket thing mod you can get later on, and the back is used for a bunch of things. They're also attached to certain points, so you can see it's attached to the spine 5, which is somewhere around here. This main weapon is attached to RT item, which is right item, so that attach point is around there, and the guns are usually designed to be attached from that point, although sometimes they're not. It's like I could probably move this around to have it positioned a little bit more perfectly, so there's a little less clipping, but it doesn't matter, because when you're looking at this unit, it's like from out here, it's moving around, and you're not going to see it. You're never looking at a unit like this and going like, oh, look at Jazza's shit. He's missed a bit of that clipping on the shotgun. Like, no, not going to happen. Anyway, you probably shouldn't change the back on like infantry units, because like Xenoplague parasites use them, and so do what's it called, jetpacks. So if you override them, then your thing might be overrided, or those other cosmetics might not show up, and things can look a little bit silly. It's super easy. You can just copy it and rename it, and the things are sourced on the name back, so you could call it like back 2 and you'd be right. Anyway, we don't care about that. Actually, no, you know what? We will do that. We'll make... This isn't the best idea to give him a jetpack, but because it might... well, he probably can't get a jetpack if I add the mod to him, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make this guy a little jetpacky trooper. One thing to note is, you see I'm changing names. The actual name of a unit is sourced from a XML file. It's actually sourced down here. So yeah, I can call this whatever I want. You know, Vanguard Trooper 2 isn't going to show up in game. It's whatever is linked here. So at the moment it's just Trooper. And there's the description. I will go through that a bit later. Anyway, on to some important things. So these requisites are important for a number of things. One is a lot of mods use requisites. So if I take away light unit from this, there'll be a bunch of mods that won't work on it. If I take away, I think survival user kit is something to do with what's it called? The nanite injections. It might make them use it more effectively. I don't know. A few of the Vanguard units have it. Not entirely sure what it's for, but land movement, it's pretty obvious. That gives it land movement. If you give it, you know, aquatic movement, it'll move like the Shikan do. The more important ones, I think, well, I mean, they're all important. Don't mess around with them unless you know what you're doing. Like if I want to make this guy a cyborg, which for the sake of this I will. So now he's not biological anymore, he's now a cyborg. He's not going to benefit or hurt from anything biological. It's now going to, you know, now he's susceptible to synthesis things and all that kind of jazz. The grenade and assault rifle requisites are really, really important, because the upgrades for mods use them. So the mod looking to give you the electric ammo, for instance, will look at this. It'll say, I need this requisite to be here in order to upgrade this mod, and it looks for another thing too in a dynamic group. It looks for that upgrade to be in a dynamic group, which I will also show you. I'm going to make a whole weapon to show you how the plugins work, but for the moment I'm going to get rid of both of those. So this guy also gets Overwatch and Steady Aim from here. I don't want them. We're going to get rid of those. His actual weapons are in these upgrade things, properties. So these upgrades link an ability. So you can see that the primary ability, the one that's going to start selected, they've got is the Assault Rifle ability. And that's just going to select from this Assault Rifle upgrade. It's also adding the ability. And the Frag Grenade also adds it. And then on top of that, you need this upgrade here in order for the mod upgrades to work. So the Frag Grenade can be upgraded by the explosives chain, even though that often doesn't happen with Vanguard. But the Assault Rifle obviously can be upgraded by anything to do with firearms. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to get rid of both of those. So at the moment, this guy has no weapons, no real abilities. Well, now he has no weapons, no real abilities. He's a bit useless. Let's give him some abilities. So, unit properties. We're going to go to upgrades and firearms, and we're going to go to shotgun. So, I picked firearms because they're a little bit of a pain in the butt. So, you're going to want to do something like this to differentiate it, because this is an entire copy of the shotgun. So when I go to look for a shotgun in when I go to upgrades, but I'm just going to show you in here. So when I go, it's been annoying because there's a shit ton of shotgun stuff. If it was something that wasn't called shotgun with so many things, if I just written shotgun, there'd be two. There'd be shotgun and shotgun. So I don't want that. You need to add something to it to differentiate it. So I added new. There's nothing else with new. That's fine. Organize it the way you want, but do organize it, or it'll turn into a shit show very quickly if you start adding a lot of things. So I'm going to quickly add this to all of these, because all of these need to be relinked rather, because at the moment they're linked to the base one in the standard games RPK. So I'm going to change it, and when I change it, I want them to be named differently so it's easy for me. And there's a few other things we're going to need from here. So we're going to go to the firearms mods. We're going to go to these dynamic groups. We need all of those dynamic groups. So anything that changes the damage type. For firearms, it's not anything that changes the damage type, because the Fletcher ammo doesn't actually change the damage type. But it does give it a whole new plugin, which does, where are you? Which does deal damage, which deals kinetic damage instead of, say, the electric one that does arc damage. So, for instance, for arc weaponry, nothing changes the damage type, but there is a plugin for that arc mod. Bio one has the electrical one. Sonix has the fire and the thermal one and the poison one. And I'm missing something. Explosives has some as well. Essentially, anything that changes the damage type, and also this annoying Fletcher ammo shit, needs to be in one of these dynamic groups. So they're just going to go new shotgun. So here we go. This is a big global group. So when I add this to, when I copied it, it's the same name, and when I add this to this group, it's actually adding it. This is my understanding, that it's adding it to this group, which is an important part of the mod upgrading when you put the unit modification on it. So this needs to happen in order for plugins to work. What's this one? Electrified. And firearms the worst because they have so bloody many. So done that, and there's still another thing we need to do. This can be called whatever you want. I'm going to call it new shotgun, unit requisite. This needs to be added to all these upgrades. If a unit doesn't have this requisite, then the upgrade won't be able to be added. If you have multiple weapons, so like there's like naval units that have like 2 firearms abilities or plugins that they need to add, the way you do that, well, actually this one already does it because it adds it for the shotgun and for the engineer's turret. You just add 2, the plugin for both of them, but I'm not going to want either of those. But anyway, I'll have to go through this again for the other ones, but I'll go through it in an order when I link everything. But I need to add new shotgun unit requisite to that upgrade, and now I'm on the unit. Where are we? We're further down. No? Lost where I am. Here we go. Upgrades. New shotgun, and here in the requisites we're going to add that requisite. If I didn't have that, because that requires it, it just wouldn't show up. I'd just have my trooper would just have no item. Also, while we're here, I'm going to add, I hope this is just called jetpack, old jetpack. Well, that's not very useful. I don't know what that mod is called, so maybe I won't be able to give him a jetpack jump unless it's an upgrade. Well, we'll give him the old jetpack. We'll see what happens. If I'd managed to find the, I'm already taking too much time. If I'd managed to find the actual mod that gives the jetpack upgrade, then I wouldn't be able to equip it on this unit. But since I couldn't find it, I'm not going to bother to either. This unit's going to be able to equip it, and it's not going to do anything because he's already got this old jetpack. Because remember, we gave our trooper a jetpack. So I'm going to link everything. This is a pain in the butt and the easiest way to do it is to go up, click out of the category into none, and copy paste my new thing in here. There's no real easy way to do it. It's a bit tedious. This has some weird stuff because this is a hero item, and you do need these ranged and firearms things. Just copy stuff. If you want a shotgun, find a shotgun. Find an arc shotgun. Find a kinetic shotgun. Find a laser shotgun. Copy most of it, and just change what you need to change. If you do stuff from scratch, it's going to take you for fucking ever. You will just, it'll be a pain in the ass. This is important. If you don't have a plugin or a primary effect linked, your weapons won't show up in game. You'll spend ages trying to figure out why, and they just won't. So make sure they've got these kind of things. That's not always the case in in abilities that do special stuff. But anyway, this plugin is this. It uses these damages for units and obstacles, and these targeters use these plugins. So we don't need to touch these targeters at all. Once they've been linked to this, we've now got the new targeters. They're just going to inherit the plugin that we've used. So now I just need to add my stuff to the plugins. And you're quickly realizing that I'm making one unit. I'm making one weapon. This is taking ages. And I'm just going to make it do a little bit extra damage. Why not? Shotguns are pretty terrible weapons. And they've got pretty terrible accuracy as well. They really do need a buff. I've just changed that to my new one, and now I need to change all of these plugins and upgrades. So, yeah, change that from 16 to 18. We don't want to change that part. No, we do. Yes. No, this is the part we want to change. My bad. What we don't want to change is this part, but we do want to change this requisite. New shotgun. I'll try and speed this along. But this is the kind of stuff you're going to have to do, so bear with me. It's linked and now. And I will probably make a mistake. I probably won't get through this entire thing without making a mistake, because there's just a lot to go through, a lot of links that can go wrong. Change that to 18, and back to here. Be the last one. Okay, so they should all be linked now. All be linked together. They're all in the groups. Our unit has this. One thing our unit doesn't have is this new figure. We'll just go to my figures. It's easier. We're going to give him a bigger formation. Why not? Now he's got 6. I could jump in and test this now. I did want to go through some retexturing stuff, but that's I might have to wait for another day. I'll briefly show you this editor, the content editor. This is completely different. This is some of my stuff, but I'll show you some in-game stuff just to know what it looks like. So he's an outrider. He's the dude who sits in the Vanguard assault bikes. And here is some stuff all in their kind of parts, the untextured things. Here are the textures. There's different layers. This is different stuff. I don't even know what the colliders do. Rigs are super important when it comes to animations. I don't know why they have weapon rigs. I don't think that's particularly important. But then, anyway, all the textures go together in these materials. There's a whole ton of settings you can do. You can make them move. A few things do make them move, and a few things I've made have moving textures. And you select new. The way I make models is I'll come to here. I'll get all the textures and the material stuff all fixed together. So maybe I want to change this guy to be, well, hang on, we'll We'll just find his actual texture. It's probably mech update. There we go. So what you would do, the easiest way to make some changes. So here's mech update. Hang on. There's slightly different controls for moving stuff around, so I'm right clicking to do that. So what you do is you would snip this with like any snipping tool. You need to get the dimensions within to be a multiple of 4 when you want to bring it back in to the game. It's really easy. You just import it. I will open up one of mine just to show you some stuff. So yeah, you snip it out, you make some changes, and then you import it back in. It's got to be the right. To get TGAs in is a pain in the ass. It needs some external program. I think the proper ones are like .dae image files, which you can convert online, or if you have the right image processing thing, you can do it in your image processor, or you can use .pngs, but there can be problems with them. But anyway, we will go to my Promethean mod libraries, and I think alright, so this baby is a what's it called, a bombardom thing, whatever they're called. I snipped those out, changed some colors, changed the color of his like armor gun kind of thing, and put them into a material and put them back on here. Created the model so it's all linked together. Gave it, well, you select everything here and then you go create model, put it in here, gave it the right rig. Rigs are important for animations. I've got it showing here a little animation. He just looks around, and yeah, briefly that's how you do that. I'm not going to bother with any of that for this. I'm also not going to bother fully showing you the XMLs, but I'll show you how mine are laid out. So this top line is important. Always change that to whatever you're working on. Don't have it the same. You'll have overlaps. It'll be a huge pain in the ass. It's kind of good practice to have unique names in this section before the name. Easy to look up. But you can just have 1 through 30 or whatever. Some of mine have that. Then you want it to be name, description. Here's my airborne sniper from my expanded arsenal mod. And what I would do, I'm not going to bother saving this, is in units, I'd go to here, and this is case sensitive. So if I type trooper, it comes up with everything with trooper. If I type trooper without the T, capital T, it comes up with trooper as in descriptions and shit. So if I had gone and added this as a resource, I'd be able to find it in here. I will do one more thing before I just quickly get this in game. I'm going to make an icon. There we go. Marine icon. Oh, well, actually I need to do one other thing before I get this in game as well. Like I said, it's always things to forget. So here's my trooper. You can do some adjusting in here to get him in the right way, but the best way, these animations can have wonky stuff with the weapons too. and you can run it through an animation. This one just moves his hand a little at the front, at the start, some diplomatic one. Anyway, you press space and it sets it there. You can move stuff around to get it the way you want. I don't really care about this one, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Human shotgun dude. Click off stuff. If you left this on here and you then try and change it, and like, where's my icon? You just need to click off it. It'll need to reload. So if I go now to just go Juz, because he'll be right there. Juz icons, and now he's got that icon there. This guy's just going to be called Trooper in game. It doesn't need anything special to recruit him. We could add it, but I'm not going to. The last thing we need to do this actually adds it as a link to the race. So you can find these in all the species things. It's called our race unit link data. I find it easy to just copy it, take the main game stuff out. What do we call him? Trooper 2. So yeah, be careful with your naming conventions, or you can get confusing when searching for stuff as well. Anyway, what did I just close? Yeah, I'll just say yes. Doesn't really matter because I'm not going to use this mod again. We need to come to here as well. In the package manager, we need to manage, not packages, we need to manage resources. We need to add the mod. If we don't add the mod here, it doesn't get seen. If we don't add the pack. If I didn't put that there, absolutely nothing would happen. Anyway, now when we load the mod, it should add our little trooper guy with his shotgun, which I'll just add as a primary weapon. You know, we'll give him some kind of grenade as well. We'll give him a bio grenade, and I'll just see bio grenade unit requisite. That means now if I'm playing as Kirko and I get this guy somehow, you know, I take a Vanguard, I can give them that electric mod, and now his bio grenades will inflict the electrified thing and deal arc damage. Just remember that stuff. It makes your mods just such higher quality when they work with the unit mods. Otherwise, it feels a bit shit to get a new unit and go like, oh, there's all these possibilities I can do. I can give it, you know, this mod and that mod, and then you go to do it and nothing's linked up properly, and it just feels shit to use. Anyway, I'm going to give this a little test. You also need to, well, I just saved it. That just saves all this stuff here. You also need to publish it. Publish doesn't publish it to Steam. Publish zips it. Literally all it does. You can manually do this if you want. It just makes this zip file, which is read by the launcher. So that should all be working now. All I need to do is open this, go to mods, just test mod, enable that, and it should be in here, and those weapon mods should work. If you're not used to using mods, there'll be a bunch of my mods activated at the same time as well. There'll be like 10 other troopers, not that many, but there'll be extra troopers in the Vanguard loadout, for instance. But they should all be properly named. So we'll just quickly, any Vanguard will do. And there he is. There's his bio grenade, there's his shotgun. And he's got the right model, doesn't he? Yeah, and he's got the jetpack jump from... I gave him the hero old jetpack thing, so that's also given him +1 shield, and it also means he can also attach the other jetpack, which would potentially give this guy double jetpacks if the abilities do seem to be different. So I'm just going to quickly check that out, but also... Oh, don't do that. I'm going to quickly cheat because alright, and so we can see that yes, I linked everything properly. He's got the it works with all the plugins, and he doesn't get double jetpack. It's just a waste of mod. That's good to know. But yeah, so I can mod this guy out. He's going to work in game, you know, just pretty much as I've designed him. And yeah, so that's how to make a really simple mod, guys. I hope this was helpful. I know it's a bit rambly and a bit long, but the process of making mods is quite long. I might make more of these in the future based on specific needs, but yeah, this is the end of this one.